Hey guys, what's going on? Watomarmelon here today on my second channel. Make sure to subscribe to this one. We're on the road to 100. We're doing quite well on that goal we want to hit by the end of June. And also make sure to check out my main channel as always. But today, for June 13th, we have a pretty short market watch. But starting off with an OTS Ultimate Rare, we've got Cyber Dragon out of OTS Tournament Pack 16. This is the alternate art Dark Cyber Dragon that Zane used after he became, the Cyber Dark guy. And it's a really cool art. Looks pretty nice in Ultimate Rare, but I just don't think that people were really willing to pay as much as the original asking prices. If we look at the 1 year trend, $200 for a new Ultimate Rare that isn't, the most playable card in the world. Are people really going to pay that when I've been getting these first ed ultimate rares in like near mint condition of the Cybernetic Revolution one for 800? Are people really going to pay, 1/4 of what the original print ultimate rare, which is, one of the most iconic cards in the game? I don't think so. And I don't think that was ever really a realistic price. But now that it's getting, around 100, it seems like it probably is going to continue to fall. There are a ton of sellers competing at around 100, and if you look at the sales rate, there's a sale, every couple of days or so, but I don't think that's really enough to sustain the competition that's sort of lining up at around 100. So I would not be surprised if this card continues to drop and, starts to hit towards 90 quite soon. It's a beautiful card, but I just don't think there's really a market for this at these higher price points. This to me could be a $60 card. If it starts to hit that range, I might consider picking up a playset for myself because I like the art, but it really is struggling to sustain its current price point. Next up, we have out of OTS 17, number 39, Utopia. This card, when you look at it, you're like, how is this so cheap? It's an ultimate rare of the boss monster, of like the protagonist boss monster from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. How is this a $20 card? Well, this card, really struggles from the fact that Utopia didn't have a super high rarity printing for a long time, and then all of a sudden it got, the Astral Utopia, which did quite well out of Battles of Legend Armageddon. However, they then printed a collector's rare, which is sort of the mid-tier, but actually I would still consider it a high-tier rarity in King's Court, and then they printed this ultimate rare directly after this. I don't think that this card was popular enough to sustain, 3 rapid high-rarity printings, and so I really think that this ultimate rare struggles. Additionally, Xyz and ultimate rare I don't think look that great. To me, it would have made more sense to put this in Ghost from the Past 2. Because Zexal did have ghost rares, but it is what it is. I think this ultimate rare, if you can get it in Euro print, it does look quite nice. And at $20, I wouldn't mind picking one of these things up if I got one that had a nice texture to it. So that's one to keep an eye on. Saryuja. I honestly don't even know. But this is a playable card. However, it's one that I've been keeping my eye on because I think the art looks quite nice. And as these sets that people treat as, ultra modern start to become a little bit more difficult to obtain, people aren't cracking Extreme Force booster boxes anymore. And this is one of the chases out of Extreme Force. And you can see that the near mint first editions are still, $660. So this is one that I'm keeping my eye out for because this is a card that, while also playable, looks really cool. And I think people who, played during the time where Saryuja was a really popular card might, look back and want to pick it up later. Next up, we have another ultimate rare of a boss monster. We have Oddis Pendulum Dragon. Super, super cheap. I don't know why they didn't give this the Ghost Rare and Duelist Alliance as they did in the OCG. You can see that some people in the recent sales have picked up on the fact that this is a boss monster ultimate rare, and there's been a lot of sales of these sort of near mint ones. You can see that there are 3 at $9, but there are tons and tons of them at $14. So it'd be really hard for this thing to climb in value for the unlims. Let me check what the near mints look like, or first editions, excuse me. Yeah, so you have them at 18. you have a bunch more at, the 22 margin. So it'd be kind of hard to make these things disappear. However, this is a Boss Monster Ultimate Rare. This is the first set for Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, so it's something to keep your eye on. It'd be better to have one of these if you want it for your collection now than if someone decides to buy this thing out in the future. It might be something that they target. Next up, we have Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. I just really like how this Ghost Rare looks. You can see that there were some sales recently of near mint first editions at 55. You can get unlims for 45, so not that much cheaper. There's some, unverified low feedback sellers at around 56, and then it goes up to, 60, 63 to get, higher feedback sellers. Really cool looking card. I'm surprised at how cheap it got. And I understand that Ghost Rares are really taking a hit from Ghost from the Past 2. It's just, are you going to pay 45 for an unlim of this, or, whatever it is, 63, or are you going to pay, 55 for a Blue Eyes Ultimate Ghost Rare? I think most people would pick the Blue Eyes Ultimate. Next up, we have Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, another really big Zexal card. You can see that there's a near mint Ghost Rare at around 86 from a high feedback verified seller. And then if you want a first edition, it's getting close to 200 at around 185 right now. Pretty cool looking card. I think it's, of the Zexal era ones, it's probably, the biggest chase. You can see that it hasn't suffered from the same price drops that a lot of the other cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Have, specifically collectible ones. Next up, we have Gaga God Girl. This, to me, is kind of the Dark Magician Girl of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, and so I think I'm not the only one who has thought about this, and it seems that there are some people slowly buying these near mint first editions, as you can see. They're slowly buying it. It is kind of on the cooldown. That was a higher card. However, it's not super expensive. You can see they're near mint on limbs for $8. I think they're first editions for $15, if I remember correctly. Maybe a little bit higher than that. Okay, so we see, around 15 you're starting to get some of these first editions. But this is the Dark Magician Girl of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, so it's something to keep your eye out for. Next up, we have some more cards. Another Ghost Rare, Utopia Ray. We looked at Utopia previously. This one is dirt cheap. You can get unlims for 26. And then if we look for first eds, they are 60. So this is something where there's quite a large discrepancy between first ed and unlim. So something to have in the back of your mind. Another Ghost Rare, we have Heroic Champion Excalibur. This is a really cool looking Ultimate Rare, actually. You can see the unlims are 28.50. If we look for first eds, you can get them for around 50. And I noticed this graph and I was like, what the heck? I didn't realize that for some reason, maybe it's playable all of a sudden, but it seems that people are starting to look at this card. This is a card that was dirt cheap for the longest time. In the OCG, you could buy these for like $5 to $10 for a while. Just not a whole lot of demand for that card. Next up, we have Prophecy Destroyer. This is a cool looking card that, for me, it's reminiscent of Magic. I know a lot of people, when they see this card, comment on the fact that it looks more like a Magic the Gathering artwork than a Yu-Gi-Oh! Artwork. You see there was a large spike in March for some reason, where there were some buyouts, it seems. Some unlims are going off the markets. Someone in March and April decided to buy off a lot of these first eds. You can see the unlims, you can get them for $6. And there are a ton of them at sort of these lower price points. First edition, you can see that they're around 13, so it looked like that buyout didn't really make sense. Didn't stick. Second to last, we're going to look at High Priestess of Prophecy out of Return of the Duelist. Cool looking card. Seeing a lot of these. Actually, today, someone bought 3 of the unlims and 4 of the first eds. There's another one that won. It seems like people are making plays on these. You can see the unlims at 1985. There's a secret rare there. If we try to find first editions, you got some at around a little under 50. So I don't know what's going on here, why the person's really targeting these things. Maybe they're trying to make them disappear over time. but this is a card to keep your eye out for. And then finally, looking at one vintage card, there wasn't much vintage this week. We've got Serpent Knight Dragon out of Magic Ruler. You can see that near mint unlims are going for $9 to $10. I imagine a lot of these are people not knowing the difference between SRL or not checking the difference between Magic Ruler and Spell Ruler on their card. We've got a first edition at 65. I wonder, not many sales from that seller, but I wonder if that's actually a pretty decent buy. You have another first edition near mint at around 66, and then it goes up to 70. So this is a pretty interesting card that's super cheap. First edition Magic Ruler Secret Rare for $70, and it's a monster too. A pretty cool looking one at that. I guess that's subjective, but looks quite nice to me. So let me know what you guys think. Subscribe if you're new, and it's been your boy Watomarmelon, and peace out.